Good morning, viewers. Today I am present before you with the podcast on Book 1 and Book 2 of Jonathan Swift's work, Gulliver's Travels. Before I begin the podcast, it is advisable that you keep a notebook and a pen so that you can jot down the important points relating to this particular topic. It is further advisable to use earplugs for listening to the podcast. In today's podcast, I will be giving you an overview of both the books, Book 1 and Book 2. So here I begin. Book 1. Lemuel Gulliver was the third of 5 sons in a relatively prosperous middle class family. He studied medicine, but his practice failed twice, upon which he sailed to the East Indies in May 1699. En route, a violent storm wrecks the ship and he swims across to a little island where he collapses on the beach. When he wakes up the next morning, he finds that he is pinned down by innumerable strands of fine thread. He looks around and finds that there were human beings no more than 6 inches tall. When he tries to free himself from the chains that tied him down, he is shot with little arrows which sting him. He is then given some food and wine, which is treated with some sedative that puts him to sleep. While he is asleep, he is shifted to a castle which is just about big enough for him to crawl into. Gulliver is gradually accepted by the Lilliput and becomes more and more interested in their habits and customs. With greater freedom, Gulliver is able to learn about their state and society. He also comes to know Reldresal, a counselor who explains various aspects of their political life. He learns that the present emperor's grandfather had issued an order that eggs could be broken at the small end only. This made all those who broke eggs at the big end very angry. A civil war broke out and many of the big enders went into exile on a neighboring island which was now known as the Kingdom of Blefuscu. Gulliver is requested by the emperor to capture the Blefuscu fleet. Although he is shot with arrows by the Blefuscu army, he captures 50 ships and tows them back to Lilliput. The emperor bestows the highest award of the kingdom, the title of Nardak, on Gulliver. Later, the emperor requests Gulliver to sack the entire kingdom of the Big Enders but refuses to do so, which causes some ill will between them. This ill will develops further and Gulliver is finally charged with high treason against the state. The emperor, however, refuses to award the death penalty to Gulliver. All that he orders is that Gulliver be blinded. Gulliver escapes to the kingdom of Blefuscu, where he is treated well. Soon, however, the emperor demands that Gulliver should return to the kingdom and serve out his sentence for treason. He discovers a small boat that he thinks would take him back to England, but just as he sets out, he runs into an English merchant ship bound for England. The captain of the ship, when he hears of the Lilliputians, thinks that Gulliver is mad. However, when Gulliver produces several Lilliputian cattle and other souvenirs of that kingdom, the captain is convinced of his story. Gulliver returns safely to England and prospers by exhibiting Lilliputian cattle. Book 2. 2 months after his return, Gulliver is on the high seas again. This time, bound for the East Indies, the ship goes off course, following a severe storm. Land is sighted some time later, but Gulliver is separated from his companions, but he sees a giant human being in pursuit of the boat. For fear of being trampled, Gulliver hides in a field of wheat. Unfortunately, 6 more of these giants enter the field to harvest the crop and Gulliver is discovered. He is carried by the giant to the owner of the field and Gulliver is able to convince him through sign language that he is a harmless creature. The people that Gulliver meets in this island are about 60 feet tall and all other things in the kingdom are equally big. The night that he spends in the farmer's house, he is attacked by two rats about the size of dogs. He wounds one and kills the other. Gulliver is put in charge of the farmer's daughter, who is 9 years old and is called Glumdalclitch. Gulliver himself is named Grildrig. He learns the Brobdingnag language quickly and makes friends with his neighbors. Meanwhile, the farmer makes some money for himself by putting him up as an exhibit in the nearby city on market day. Large crowds pay fees to see him. He is also summoned to the royal court to see the queen. After his performance in front of the queen, he is purchased from the farmer and made a member of the royal retinue. Gulliver now regularly entertains the king and queen with his accounts of life in Europe and his adventures at sea. Gulliver wins the favors of the royal couple and travels around with them in a specially designed box. One day, they visit the seacoast. Gulliver commands that the box be put on the shore so that he could look out into the sea. Strangely, the box begins to rise, and Gulliver realizes he had been carried away by a giant eagle. The box drops into the ocean, and Gulliver is rescued by some English sailors to return home. So, this was the overview of Book 1 and Book 2 of Gulliver's Travels. I hope the podcast proved to be of help to each one of you. Please leave your questions in the comment section below. In my next podcast, I will be giving you the overview of Book 3 and Book 4. So please do like, share and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click on the bell icon for latest update. Thank you for your valuable time. Here's wishing you a great day ahead.